Hi, I'm Julius, 37.
And I'm Mars, 40.
I live in Germany with my wife, our 2 sons, and our 2 dogs.
And I live in the Netherlands with my wife, our son, and our dog.
We are both entrepreneurs together with our wives.
And next to that, I am also employed.
We live very busy lives with very few spare time.
So we need to make sure we get the most out of our days.
We want to live healthy, develop ourselves.
And challenge ourselves.
And together with that, we want to be good husbands.
And a fun dad.
And that's why we're sticking to a strict regime.
For 75 consecutive days.
Welcome to Fatherly Grit, thriving through 75 hard. Yes,
We're live.
we're live. And actually, we are live.
Yeah. What's up with that?
That is a surprise. Just to get the listeners in here, we are actually sitting in Mars' living room
Yeah.
in the beautiful Netherlands.
Delft City.
Delft City. I actually planned this for a couple of weeks and I conspired with his wife to surprise him for our last 75 hard episode.
Which was an awesome surprise. And usually my wife is not really good at keeping secrets. She managed.
Yeah.
And I was freaking surprised. So for the listeners, it was a Friday afternoon and I was just at home with Ziggy and I wasn't expecting anything. And all of a sudden the doorbell rings. And when I walked down, I can look through the window over the door. And I was like, what the fuck? Is this Julius who lives a couple of 100 kilometers or like hundreds of kilometers away from me, like 6-hour drive? And it was.
Yeah. Actually, so I was thinking about it. Actually, I think after we've had the first episode, I already thought, okay,
Really?
it would be awesome to have the last one together at your place.
That's nice.
And I was able to pull some strings and get a project in Amsterdam on Friday morning or Friday noon.
Come on, you can't call sitting in a coffee shop getting stoned a project.
Don't tell my wife.
Again.
No. And I was able to pull this project. So, and then I drove an additional hour over to you guys.
Yeah.
I'm happy that it got it. I'm staying in a really weird hotel, which is more like a prison cell. It should be like a WeWork space, more likely, but the hotel rooms are super depressing.
Yeah, basic is not reaching the level of the room. Huh?
No, and it's not cheap, but yeah. Anyhow,
Hey, but what is the present that you got on your pillow instead of chocolate?
a condom. That was interesting.
Did you pay by the hour for the room? Or?
Yeah, there are red lights all over the floor. It's just weird, and people knocking on my door constantly. We had a great time. We spent a lot of time with Ziggy. We visited Yasha in the store. I spent a good amount of money there for my wife. We had a live stream with her. We had a live shopping event with my wife. My wife was on the phone. And Yasha was trying on stuff for her to showcase if she liked it or not. And that was cool. And we went for a really, really long walk. I enjoyed. And you have a great son, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah, he's a delight. And I think you got an insight into what my weekend looks like. So, Yasha working and me having both Ziggy and Frankie. For the listeners, my son Ziggy is 1.5 and Frankie, our dog, is almost 4. And every Saturday I go with them either to the park or like walk through the city or around the city. And it was nice to have a companion in there and to co-entertain kid and dog.
And what was crazy for me when we got home, so we went to the store, we walked around and kind of did a couple of groceries and stuff like that. But the time went by so freaking fast.
True.
So
time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's really true. Sadly. But we are literally stay-at-home dads today because your wife's out.
Yeah.
We had a really nice pasta dinner.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, it was nothing. And then we sat down, really cozy, candles, soft lighting.
Yeah, don't fall asleep.
Yeah. I didn't have the best sleep in the hotel. So, yeah.
So for the listeners, like today is Saturday evening. On Thursday was actually our last day of 75 hard. Today you seem to have continued it partly because you in the morning before 8 o'clock, you already had 2 workouts in.
Yeah. I wasn't able to fall back asleep at around 4. And then I decided, okay, if I'm not going to lay around, I'm just going to go downstairs on the treadmill and get a workout in. And so I worked out for like 45 minutes and then went back up straight into bed. Oh no, I hit the shower really, really hot. And then I just went back to bed and slept till I think 7:30. And unfortunately, due different circumstances, I wasn't able to finish our last episode before we actually met. So we haven't released it yet, actually. So it potentially could come out Sunday or Monday, I don't know when. But it's done. I already sent it to you. So I finished the episode today in the morning, and then got back into the gym and did a second workout.
Boom.
Because it was still like early, and we said, okay, we are going to meet up between 10 and 11. And I still had time left. So I said, okay, instead of scrolling through my phone or do something else, I just said, okay, let's put in some additional work here.
Yeah, now I feel really bad because this morning, like last night, I told you, okay, I'm going to do a super early morning workout. So I'll probably be up early. Well, I didn't. We had an after work drink with my wife and her best friend. They're out for dinner now. I drank alcohol. I didn't do
You're
any.
right back on the track. Have you? So, by the way, did you had like a drink on Thursday or something like that? So No, Thursday was the last day. So yesterday when we met, was the first day of 75 hard. Oh, by the way, did you eat any? Oh, we ate pizza.
We ate pizza.
Yeah. And my first sweet was a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Boom.
At the office where I recorded the other podcast yesterday.
So everyone's gonna think now, okay, you're gonna let go of the leashes and it's gonna be 75 easy from now on.
I'm 75 kilos more than before.
75 gain.
And I think we are right at the topic. So what's your takeaway? And I think you touched a bit on it on the last couple of episodes that you already figured out what you would like to continue, but to kind of put an end to this, I think it would be nice to share your thoughts.
Yeah. I think so. One of the things that I had in the last week, I think, is that sometimes I had the feeling, okay, fuck, I still need to do this, or I have to do another workout, or I have to do my reading, and it felt a bit like an obligation that you don't want to do, but you have to do it. It felt a bit like being, like a teenager at home and your parents tell you like you have to wash the car this weekend or you have to do the dishes or but yeah, overall, I think the goal that I wanted to reach with the challenge, I reached it. So I got more active. I did more sports. I feel way more fit than I felt before. Even though there's still so many steps that I can take, I can do way more weight training or more high intensity interval training. But the fact that I'm doing regular sports now and doing regular stretching, like my body is feeling so much better. The regular getting up very early, so around, 5:30 or before 6, and either do some reading or do a workout, it feels so good, because on those days, okay, we have to go to bed then around 10:30 max, because otherwise I'm just really knackered. But it really gives me a lot of energy throughout the day as well, and I'm sharper when I have to do my work, or I'm sharper when Ziggy gets up. So that's something I'm definitely going to continue. You brought some sweet this morning, like a cinnamon roll. It was, I think.
Yep.
I had a tiny piece of
But
it,
you didn't really touch it.
but I didn't really crave it or something. And actually, I felt like there is no need for me to take this. So I think that is some change of my mindset as well, like in respect to sugary things.
Yeah.
Which was completely the opposite in the last quarter of last year. So yeah, no, I think those things I'm going to continue. The reading, I'm definitely going to continue, because I've had really, like at the office, there are some guys that are reading these kind of books as well. And I really had interesting conversations about the topics as well. And from some of the listeners who are really good friends of mine, I got questions about, for instance, the fixed mindset and growth mindset. One of the guys, he is having a 4-month-old kid now. And he's like, okay, does the book say anything about that you can teach this to your kid as well? Because I'm very interested in that. So, yeah, you get into really cool conversations then as well.
Yeah. And by the way, we have a link in the show notes where you can click and buy those books.
Yes.
Just stop harassing us about content. Just buy it and read it by yourself. And then we can start a really nice conversation about it.
Book club.
Book club. We can start a book club. Yeah. What we haven't talked about, and it just came to my mind, what about the whole like journaling thing and what was it called?
The mindfulness.
The mindfulness thing. Did you actually continue doing that, or did you drop it at some point?
No, I did. Well, we didn't do it every evening together, like my wife and I.
Yeah.
We did it regularly together, but I did it very often also by myself. When I did the last round with the dog, I just walked around and thought, okay, what did I do today? What are the nice things? And this is definitely one of the things which was, oh yeah, I have to do this. But when I do it, I really get a better feeling about the day, even though the day is shit, or I didn't have a feeling of being productive or constructive.
Yeah.
Then still trying to find some positives in the day, it's really good. And one of the things that was really awesome is that at a certain point, I asked my wife, okay, so what was the negative point about your day? So the 3 positives she mentioned, I said, what was the negative? And she was like, you know what? I have to think now so long to find a negative thing that I'm not going to mention a negative thing, because then it feels like I'm trying to bring down my own mood of the day.
Yeah.
Which I liked. And I noticed that I had it pretty often as well. And that made me realize, like, look, our life is really cool.
Yeah.
Which is the very first episode that you and I did, the kickoff episode. It felt a bit like, oh, our lives are so heavy.
Yeah, hard. And all it isn't. Work and all the kid stuff. Yeah, I agree.
And we have awesome lives. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's from my side. So what are for you the takeaways?
I think I'm just going to continue what I'm doing, but not in the intensity. Because when I informed more likely my wife, yeah, by the way, today is the last day, she was like, oh, finally I get my husband back. And I was like,
ladies and gentlemen, he's back.
We had the conversation I asked her, are you now annoyed about me doing it? And she always, no, I feel like you need this kind of stuff. You need that structure.
You as Julius, or you as in general, a person?
No, you as Julius.
Yeah.
This is something that gives you purpose, and this gives you drive. And that's the reason why I'm supporting you doing it. But in the same sentence, he said, if you would continue this thing constantly with like the diet stuff and this really, okay, sorry, we have to stop now watching TV because I have to go out because I haven't worked out yet outside. So that quality time in regarding of being a couple as well as a family, somewhat suffering.
Yeah.
That is not compatible for our life there. But on the other hand, I rarely got the feeling that it interfered with our lives, to be honest.
Yeah, I had the feeling as well. But then Yosha mentioned the thing where she said, okay, yeah, but we have to go to bed so early because you're getting up so early, and otherwise you're literally falling asleep next to me. So our perspective might be that it doesn't interfere, but our wife's perspective might be that it does.
That is one of the reasons why I begged my wife to come on the pod and talk as well about she's she's not willing to do it.
Come on, Yosha. This is a request. Yosha, Doro, get on the pod.
Come on the pod. And we could even not be in the room and they just talk to each other about their experience with us as husbands facing this idiotic quest.
And then a week later, we hear the stories on Spotify.
Yeah. Sure, no. We need then somebody neutral to do the post-production on that episode. It just surprises us. That would be so funny.
And how about the picture that you had to take every day? Did you see any progress in there?
I saw progress, but on the other hand, I stopped taking body pictures and I more likely documented my face.
Okay.
But I because I tend to see a lot of changes in my face while I was doing that. And I thought with the mood situation, it would be interesting to document how I feel. Because my face is always showing my mood.
Yeah.
And I think it would be an interesting kind of additional thing to document instead of just seeing my body changing, which wasn't interesting for me because I didn't do the task or the challenge because I wanted to get fit or something like that. That wasn't part of the story here.
And did you see any change in your face?
Yeah.
In the pictures?
Yeah.
So what changed?
Especially in the end, I was pretty happy. So I feel like the last picture, it really showed off the mood I was in the days. But I scrolled through it last night and most of the time I seemed to be happy.
And where did you see it in the eyes or is it more?
I think I more likely then was able to recollect how I felt at that day.
Yeah.
Not really in particular, but kind of, Yeah, when you see a picture, you kind of know what's up.
Yeah, you radiate something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But definitely what I'm going to continue is the workout routine. So I want to still work out at least. So aside from the walking and all which is going to continue anyways, because I'm out with the dogs all the time, I really would like to, and I'm going to continue the workout routine 7 days a week, because I feel like that's a structure that helps me to collect my thoughts, give me like a specific window where I can think about stuff, where I don't get distracted from other things aside from me being active.
And do you want to limit yourself for what kind of exercise it needs to be or where it needs to be, indoors, outdoors?
No. I did that because the thing is, the rules were it was 75 hard. It has to be one outdoor workout, but there is an option of having two.
Yeah.
So for example, go jump on my gravel bike, go for like 45 minutes to an hour, and then do an extended walk, for example. So, but I at least want to take 45 minutes out of my day to be active and exhaust my body in some way, not just through a walk. So similar what you've done with the challenge.
Yeah. And do you feel, because you mentioned that you need some sort of I don't know, rules or some target or something that you can take off, like wow, I'm rambling. Now I'm like you, what the listener said. But no. What I wanted to ask is, like, do you want to, or do you feel the need to set a goal for the sports as well?
No, I really would like to continue my journey. I wanted to get in an even better shape than I'm. So my plan is to get rid of more of my body fat. So stay in the lane of like high volume training. And we are going to stop talking about sports, but get rid of, I would say 5 to 7% of the body fat I'm holding still. I think I'm around 20 right now. So it would be good to go down to 15 maybe. So, because I can't even remember the time I had such a low body fat.
Yeah.
That would be cool to get summer ready. More likely.
Oh my god, this is a joke I have with the guys from Germany, from my handball. Is like every year there's like a Project Sommerkörper, so Project Summer Body, and then we say, yeah, let's just move it to 26.
Yeah. And the other thing, the reading part, I really enjoyed reading and taking a little bit time of my day to sit down and read something that in particular interests me. And again, not like a fiction book, really something that is on whatever topic is interesting for me right now. I think that is something I really would like to continue. And the whole habit forming thing, when it comes down to nutrition and food, the last 2 days we ate a pizza, I had like a peanut butter cup, I had a cinnamon roll.
You did what?
I enjoyed that, and I had a velvet cookie when we came out of the supermarket.
I saw it.
In the time where I was eating the cookie, I already thought, is this really necessary? So why are you actually doing it? He looked delicious and he tasted good, but I already asked myself, like, was it worth it? Was it like, it's not as good as I thought it would be.
You have more issues with the cravings than I do, huh?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, because I always had a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
And I enjoy like sweet things.
Let's not get in a fixed mindset. Let's get into a growth mindset.
Yeah.
How are you gonna make sure that you don't exaggerate it?
I think I already started more likely from my mind, where I just sat on the curb and ate the cookie, and I was like, no, actually, this is not what I would like to do anymore. This is not. I want to stop.
I'm just listening to this story. I'm thinking, I sat down at the curb and ate a velvet
I was
cookie.
waiting for you because you were patted down by the cashier because they thought you were stealing stuff.
Of course, I look like a bum.
Yeah. But
So that's something that, I mean, yesterday we had crisps as well.
yeah.
That was the first time I had crisps, and afterwards I thought, why? I didn't really need them either. So what we tend to do is like we don't get this stuff in the house anyways.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that we don't, like get our hands in there or get trapped. How do you say it? Get trapped in the sugar trap.
Yeah. I actually bought like truffle crisps for tonight. When we sit down and have a beer, we have an alcoholic-free beverage right in front of us.
Lovely.
But I thought about it when we were done with dinner. Okay, should I pull them out? It's like, no, I'm actually not. I'm not interested. I don't want to.
You need to bring them home though. They're in the drawer.
Doro would be thrilled because they are not as available in Germany right now because they're seasonal.
Yeah.
But no. And the thought of the workout that has to go down to get rid of this calorie, but that is a difficult cycle. You can come into like a eating disorder thing where it's like yeah. But I think I'm going to enjoy occasionally whatever I want to eat. But on the other hand, since I set in brackets a new goal for myself, and I'm not going to start a ridiculous diet. I'm just going to continue what I'm doing, but be a little bit more conscious to put in more greens, maybe cut down a little bit of carbs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To get more in and be more restricted. So be more strict when it comes down to fasting, maybe. Because in the end of the challenge, I tended to eat a little bit more late and stuff like that.
Are you gonna continue the fasting?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. Can I move back to the previous episode, which I haven't heard yet?
The final episode, haven't heard it. Yeah.
So we spoke about depression a bit.
Yeah.
And about feeling down and these kind of things. And one of the things that I started to think of is, do you think that doing this challenge for you is a way to at least have like a grip on life in that perspective?
Yeah, I feel like it. Because I always had like issues when it comes down to self-discipline and motivating myself to continue doing things. But then when there is a goal and a finish line and strict rules to follow, and I didn't want to fail, because it's literally failing when you're not accomplishing all the things and you have to start again. And with this podcast, you're holding yourself accountable. It gives you purpose, more likely. And ticking off all the boxes by the end of the day is every day somewhat of a success story where you can say, see, I accomplished something.
Yeah.
And this gives you a good feeling.
And it can go two ways, right? I mean, if you tick all the boxes, it gives you a good feeling, and it keeps you away from depression or feelings that tend to go in that direction.
Yeah.
But if you make the challenge too hard for yourself, then the probability that you can't check all the boxes is higher as well.
Yeah.
So it could also backfire on you.
Yeah, and I had an interesting realization, I think last week or this week, I'm not even sure, where I read something where they were like, especially in a phase when you are mentally down, you tend to use so much energy to hold yourself together that you don't have much energy to accomplish anything else, because you have just a capacity which you can use during the day, more likely.
Makes sense.
And I pulled something, and we didn't talk too deep into it around noon today, but I feel like I tried to dig myself out of my hole, but I still was able to manage to accomplish and tick all the boxes. But that took a lot of energy, and that made me potentially agitated again and a little bit impatient in certain situation when I was around my kids, for example. But because you just have so much energy and so much, I don't know. You have just so much energy to spend.
Exactly. Energy is not unlimited, and if you have to spend it on specific things, then somewhere else you'll easily get agitated.
That was maybe some parts of the dome side where my wife said, "Yeah, nice to have you back."
Yeah.
Because now you can focus on the important things.
Yeah.
More likely, which is family.
But this is one of the things that I asked you. Like, I think 2 podcast episodes or 3 ago is like, you said that you got a bit more easily agitated at certain points. And one of the items is, and a fun dad.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think it escalated over the last 2 weeks. But when I realized it, and I had a good conversation with you, obviously, and people who listen to it, and we had a conversation afterwards as well, offline. Plus, I had a good talk with my sister. It gave me an outside perspective, and I talked to my wife as well about it, but she's too involved, I feel like, but it gave me the chance to reflect and figure a couple of things out, which was easier then for me to say, okay, these are the adjustments I have to make. And then I was able to get out of it, mostly, I would say.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's always something you have to be... you have to take care of yourself. And one thing is, and I talked about the realization that I'm not the head of the household anymore, more likely. So my wife is the earner and I'm the stay-at-home dad. But the thing I was facing about the last 2 weeks was, I think I drained my social batteries based on the fact that I was sitting in the office most of the times alone. And the biggest learning is that I have to get out from time to time.
Yeah, and I think I quickly researched something because it reminded me what you just said about something. Last week, I listened to a podcast, and it was with the right...
This is a running joke. Everybody has to drink every time we're saying, I listen to a podcast.
So I listened to a podcast. Yeah, non-alcoholic drink. And it was with the writer of The Calculus of Happiness. And is it The Calculus of Happiness or The Algebra of Happiness? But anyway, what this writer was experiencing is ridiculous. He lost his son through a tragic, I think, a traffic accident. And it was heartbreaking to hear his story. And at a certain point, he was, he was super down. He was massively depressed. And I can imagine, I think everyone who's going to lose a relative or even a kid, that's horrible. But he then said, I am in charge of my own happiness, because life threw me a curveball. Life fucked something up for me, but I can't change that. And I have to learn to deal with it. I have to learn to be happy again. And the only thing I can do about it, or the only thing that can be done about it, is me changing something. So he came up with this formula for happiness, like a mathematical formula for happiness. If I paraphrase it correctly, I'm not 100% sure, but his idea is, okay, it's all about events and how we perceive the events. So an event itself doesn't affect us. It's our perception of the event that affects us. So someone can say something like give us negative feedback, but it's us ourselves who decide how to feel about that. And he said that if the experience, if our perception of the experience is bigger than our expectation of the experience, that's when happiness is evolving. Mm-hmm. And he said, like what you just said, like we're all in charge of our own happiness and not external factors. So what you just said about you taking yourself out of that feeling of depression or the deep hole or whatever people will describe it to be, you are in charge of it and you can do it, but you have to believe in it.
Yeah. And I feel like I pulled more energy out of. So I went back to the office 2 times and I got out with my kids outside and I enjoyed it, you know? Mm-hmm. So I really got out and say, oh, you play with your kids and all this stuff, but I changed my mindset, and that is so, okay, I'm really going to enjoy what I'm doing right now. Yeah. And I'm going to invest everything in it, what I have. Yeah. So we played hockey, we went to this scooter park and stuff like that. And I was really focused on spending time with the kids. No phone, nothing, just...
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I think that helped also.
What I noticed as well is when my wife and I did the mindfulness exercise, like mention 3 nice things about your day, most of the days, these 3 things contained either Ziggy or my wife. Mm-hmm. Like, and especially, you know, the days that I spent with Ziggy, a day like today, I can mention so many things that I've done with him or experienced with him, which are top 10 of my day. And just to think of these things and remind yourself of these things and realize these things, it really, at the end of the day, gives me a really positive feeling about the day. So I can really suggest this to everyone to do such a thing. Even if you don't have a kid, try to find these positive things, because you'll be surprised with what you can pinpoint as being positive, more than you think.
Yeah, and I think you're going to start appreciate the small things also.
Exactly. Yeah.
And when you start to recollect and recap your day, you start to be more appreciative about certain things you were not even aware of that are happening to you.
I feel like we're two gurus of life, you know, trying, come on, you can do it, people. You can feel good about yourself.
Yeah, but I'm glad that and I have to do one correction. As I said on the last episode that I cried more likely the last time at my brother's memorial, which is not true, because I talked to my sister, and during the holidays she went through her old diaries. She read something that I cried a couple of days after, alone in my room. So and I didn't even remember that event. So maybe that is the last time I cried out of sadness, by the way, because there were 2 times, I said it in the pod, that I cried at the wedding of one of my best friends. And then you got married, who is still one of my best friends. And when your wife went down the aisle and you stand there with Ziggy, I also cried.
Dude, I'm crazy. Getting teary eyes now.
But I tried to recollect the feeling I got there. And that's something we haven't talked about. I was really, really proud, and I'm still really proud, by the way, because we haven't talked but we already went through so much together, even when we are not, a lot of times we're not super close, and we talked occasionally. But since we met, I would say 10 years ago, we were part of the whole journey. You were a part of my journey, well, like my son being born and all this stuff. And I was part of your journey as well, like finding yourself again, falling down more likely with the burnout thing. And I was part of this whole journey, and I was so happy about that it somewhat found such a positive ending resulting in a super interesting new journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I'm just having a bit of difficulties talking right now.
I just wanted to share that because I put some thoughts into it because I was trying to figure out how I felt about it. And it was happiness / like super proud of being able to witness and be part of that whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice to hear.
Hugs and kisses.
Hugs and kisses. Bromance. Oh my God. Bromance already again.
Yeah. So, but this is still fatherly grit. And do we want to just for a second talk about if we're going to continue the thing or not?
Yeah, should we? Okay, so we did speak about this, and we feel that there's still so many items or topics that we can discuss that we think are interesting, but maybe our listeners do think are interesting as well. Because, I mean, based on the questions we're receiving after some episodes, I think we have enough still to talk about that is interesting to them.
Yeah. And I like catching up with you, and this
exactly
would be a cool option to catch up on a potentially bi-weekly basis. So we do. It's pretty since our episodes are getting longer. It's pretty heavy to lift, and on a weekly basis, for me, it's too much because I do the post-production, and I was thinking that we turn it down a notch and do like a bi-weekly episode, but still hold kind of the timing of a good hour of hopefully interesting conversation. Yeah,
and I think let's open up the Q&A again, because if people have topics that they want us to talk about, please let us know, because all the input is more than welcome.
Yeah, but we picked another topic, and I already mentioned it in a side note with like the whole smartphone situation. So what we are as parents dealing with, and I think you are going to get into this situation, is the exposure of media with your kids.
Yeah.
So one thing that is more likely bothering me I wouldn't say on a daily basis, but at least a couple of times in the week, we had to deal with our oldest son. When he got into school, we said, okay, if you are capable of reading and fluent reading, you will get a Nintendo Switch. Because he asked for it and said, okay, let's just get you into like reading and writing, and then we can talk about getting you a Switch, because a couple of friends had one. And since my son is pretty smart, it took him literally 6 months in the first grade, and he was a fluent reader. He spent a ridiculous time self-taught, more likely. And then he was like, okay, you said I have to read you a couple of pages, so this is the book I'm going to read you. And after 6 months, he was able to read fluently. And he's a fast reader. He is going through books. When we pick some off the library he's interested in, he just
What did he read you? Was it Shakespeare or like...
No. But it was pretty impressive. Yeah. So he got his Switch. But a lot of times I feel like it's his whole existence is centered around the Switch, and we already limit the consumption to the weekends and a max of 4 hours. And we had to do that because he's similar than I am. When you get focused on something, and he gets up in the morning and the first question he is asking about, can I play Switch today? Can I?
So he's only allowed to do it over the weekend?
Over the weekend.
And then 4 hours.
4 hours max. Yeah. Right.
And how do you keep track of that time?
There is an option in the Switch. Okay. So it shuts down after 1 hour, and I have to manually allow him to play more. Yeah. But interestingly, even with simple like TV stuff, at some point when he was way younger, and I would say 6 or 7, when we were still living back in Hamburg, at some point we decided to tell him that the TV was broken. And our TV was broken, I would say, for a good year and a half before we moved to Lübeck, because we were so fed up with the discussion around, can I watch TV? Because he was so focused on the consumption of media
Oh, wow.
that we decided, okay, we have to take drastic measures and say, sorry, that TV is broken, so nobody can watch TV anymore, which wasn't true. And it's, I think, not the best way to do it, to deal with this kind of stuff.
He's going to listen to this episode and he will like, what the fuck?
And we are really, really restrictive when it comes down to stuff like that. And for our 5-year-old, there tended to be like Paw Patrol from time to time, or Zelle mit der Maus, which is a famous German kids TV show, or Bluey, which is amazing, by the way. So get away from Peppa the Pig and Kailu and Paw Patrol. Get yourself a Disney Plus subscription, or go to Google and let your kids watch Bluey, because it's an awesome TV show.
Bluey.
It's with the dogs. It's amazing. It has so much depth and is so loving. It's from Australia, and I actually enjoy this watching with my kids. But anyhow, I made more like the executive decision that I want to cut down the media consumption of my youngest son, because I feel like it has such an influence about how he plays, how he interacts. Maybe it's just my kids, and maybe it's the wrong way to restrict it, because then they get so much focused on it.
Yeah.
But even when we took the chance to say, yeah, we can just do whatever you would like to do, there was this, okay, then I do it 100% of the time, and I'm not going to do anything else. Similar was like listening to audiobooks or something like that. And we took a full media break for 1.5 months as a family, because I felt it wasn't fair to say, hey, you guys are not allowed to do it, but mom and dad could binge watch TV every night on the couch. So we took a full break.
Wow.
And it helped us, obviously, more reading, more like talking. Yeah. But also for the kids, after 1.5 weeks, I would say, complaining and being bored, they picked up their toys again, really.
Okay.
And there was more playtime, more kind of creativity.
Yeah.
And that was my realization, in what kind of situation we are bringing our kids.
Yeah. I mean, it's so easy, right? I mean, when for instance, when you're in the morning, when you get up and you need to give your kid a bit of breakfast and you need to get dressed yourself, it's so easy to turn on the television and have them, sit there and, be mesmerized by the moving images, and you can do your thing. I completely understand it.
You get sucked in. You can see it, literally see it, how they get
they start staring
through the...
And obviously, Yosha and me, we've spoken about this as well. Like, what are we going to do? And we don't want to put him in front of the television when he's eating or something. But what we notice now is that sometimes he wakes up super early. And then we can't be ready for the day yet. So then what we do is we pull him into the bed in between us, and we put on like one of the toddler TV shows, like Miffy, the Dutch Nijntje, or there's something about a frog, a green frog with swim shorts, red and white striped.
Okay.
It's very nice, because one of the episodes, for instance, there is they're a group of animals. They live in the forest, and then all of a sudden a rat comes, and the rat is a foreigner, and he doesn't belong here. And why does he take our things? It's a very actual topic with people coming from other countries to our country. Yeah. And then eventually the message is like, no, he might be a foreigner, but you can't judge him when you don't know him. And then eventually he turns out to be a really cool dude, and they learn from him, and he helps them, and he's really nice. So I think the message behind it is good as well. But back to the point, we use it sometimes to, make sure that he is, not getting super active in the morning directly, and we can still sleep a tiny bit or snooze a bit.
But how is he reacting when you turn it off? Is he getting upset when you turn it off?
No, because at a certain point he gets a bit fed up with sitting still, and then we're like, okay, you want to go downstairs? Okay, we'll switch it off in 1 minute. He doesn't know what a minute is, we just prepare him that we're going to switch it off and we're going to go downstairs, and then it's fine. So we want to keep it to that. So we don't want to do it when he wakes up and he's, I don't know, super happy or whatsoever. Then we shouldn't put it on. Yeah, I put it on like the other day when he was, it was a couple of weeks ago. He was ill. I had to take a day off. he was only clinging on me. So, I sat him next to me on the couch. I put on a TV show, and he was super relaxed, and eventually he fell asleep next to me as well.
Yeah.
So I think those kind of situations we try to do it. But for instance, when he comes back from the daycare, when we were cooking, we're not going to put him in front of a TV. No, we'll just get him next to us, help us cooking. So we don't want to use the television too much, but sometimes you have to pick your battles.
That's the fair point. And I fully agree. Yeah. But I tend to, and I think we are part of the problem as well, because we are more likely setting the example with us sitting at a playground on the sideline, not just watching our kids, but the chances are pretty high that you pick up your phone and you're just doom scrolling or reading emails or whatever. But the chances are pretty high that you're just doom scrolling through Instagram or something like that.
And it doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you write an email to the doctor or whether you're doom scrolling. For the kid only sees you with a cell phone in your hand.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've been to the playground this afternoon, and my theory behind it is, or like how I try to deal with it is, I don't want to be at the playground and 100% of the time entertain him, because I want him to be able to entertain himself as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So there will be moments where I'm going to leave him in the playground, do his own thing, and come back to you and have a conversation. Or I'll sit on the side and just watch him.
Yeah.
Or I'll sit on the side and be on my phone. What I don't want to do is be all the time on the phone.
Yeah. And there were certain situations, for example, during hockey practice. So I'm part of the problem, where my son actually complained to me when he was like, you didn't even see me doing XYZ because you were on the phone. In a lot of situations, and I tend to avoid it, I think that I was working, but it doesn't matter. He felt like that I didn't focus on what he was doing, and he was upset about it, and that obviously hit me right in the chest, more likely, and make me feel bad. So I really try, and that was part of my last week where I actively said, okay, I'm going to put my phone away. I'm just to do 120% of my focus is going into the situation.
Yeah.
And not distracting myself whatever I was doing.
Yeah. I also want to tell myself to, like, put your phone away and enjoy your kid. Just look at him and enjoy him.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this is a super big cliche. Like, they grow up so fast. But, like the things that he does now, like, okay, I'm going to go a really dark path. Everything can happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like you could get hit by a bus. He could get hit by a bus.
Yeah.
So enjoy the things that he's doing and that you can be part of as long as you can.
We witnessed today that he was climbing for the first time.
That was amazing.
The jungle gym.
Yeah, and it wasn't just climbing. It was on a how do you call that? It's
jungle gym. It's the jungle gym.
Yeah, it's like the netting. Is that called a jungle gym? Okay.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't even know he could. I mean, that was the first time that he did it.
Yeah.
It was so amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the phone doing that. I just
don't worry. No, but I did read last week. I read an article. My wife sent it to me or told me about it, and it's actually that the cell phone is getting in between parents and kids, and that's actually a really, really, really growing problem. And I'm the first to say, well, actually, my wife is the first to say that I am addicted to my phone, and I completely agree. I do have to say, though, that during this challenge, I did limit myself.
Yeah.
I limited myself more than my challenge was. So my challenge was max 30 minutes of social media.
Yeah.
And I limited Insta on 15 and Facebook on 5. And there were many days that I didn't even reach the limit. So I'm very proud of that
That's nice.
Grew in that.
Yeah. That's the word for it. I learned it through a kids' TV show.
What is it?
Zombies. Smartphone zombies.
That's a good one. Zombies.
Zombies.
I don't want to be a zombie.
No, yeah.
And this article said that there's actually the cell phone is getting in between the parents and their kids in terms of bonding. So the kid sees their parents on the phone more than they see them with them.
Yeah.
And the idea is that the kids are really going to be affected negatively in terms of that they don't feel bonded enough to their parents, which might result into really bad behavior problems in the future.
Yeah, especially because they I think they think that you act out gives you an opportunity to spend time. But I think that is part of the childish development, that they from time to time test the waters. But I think that is different because they realized, okay, when I act a specific way, which my parents doesn't like, they're going to focus on me more than on the TV or the other stuff they're doing.
This is something that I wanted to tell you, because my wife and I have this little like unwritten rule. But so in the morning, my wife needs to put something up on social media for the shop, so for our business. But she only wants to do that whenever I'm around, because then at least one of us can, like entertain Ziggy or interact with him at least. And he doesn't feel completely neglected by both his parents. But we do notice that, at least I notice that sometimes when either one of us is on the phone, or that he starts, testing the waters, as you just mentioned. So he starts acting up or being very clingy on you, or to grab your attention. So already it is happening. And I mean, I'm the first to say that we're no saints, and that my wife and I do not own all the knowledge about how to deal with these things. Far from it. But I already see these little things happening sometimes.
We
are well over an hour.
No, we are not.
Oh,
so
this is usually the tone that you put up. We're over an hour now.
Yeah. What my wife and I constantly kind of discussing is that we would like to have like a cell phone box. So when we come home, we put the phone in.
Yeah.
Or at least like one day on the weekend, for example. In the morning, phone's in, box, and just seize the day. But on the other hand, when you get out, you're more likely depending on your phone. So when you jump on the car and you want to ride somewhere, the chances are pretty high that you're going to pull up Google Maps and go somewhere. No ad, #no ad. So you even for like the normal daily tasks, you potentially a little bit dependent on the phone.
Grocery shopping. I mean, I got my grocery list in there.
Yeah, I don't have a grocery list, but okay. You with your rules.
I'm just very structured.
But I think that, and maybe this is something I'm going to take back home now and try to reopen the discussion about it. And it's going to be way easier for my wife than it is for me, because I tend to spend too much time on the toilet.
You regularly have these red spots on your knees from your elbows,
and I fall down when I try to get up because my leg's falling asleep.
But really, I think this box is really a very good idea, because what I do when I in the late afternoon or evening come back home, I put my phone just away. I put it somewhere on a cabinet or something, somewhere behind where I don't see it and it can easily grab it. And I notice that, okay, you're right. We use our phone for so many things. If I want to put some music on during dinner, Sonos, need my phone. If I want to put the music, set an alarm for the cooking, so my phone. So, but I think that the box, to put it in a box, it limits you even further from grabbing it quickly. Perfect idea. But your kids are now, like your oldest is now at an age where he will start to ask for a cell phone. Did you and your wife speak about this already?
Not going to happen.
What did you decide? What is your rule on it?
I'm not even so... Because when he's asking for a phone, he's not asking for a phone to actively use it in terms of communication. He's asking for a phone as a gaming device, since a lot of his friends are having phone and playing this ridiculous pay-to-play games and all the other stuff, which tends to enable you, for example, on gambling, because there are games out there that already kind of trigger your dopamine from like
FIFA with the what do you
something
call it,
like
the packs or something?
The packs, and they're already introducing it for smaller kids.
Oh wow.
So and I used so what I'm telling him is you will get a phone at some point, but I can assure you that it's not going to become your next gaming device. And he already gets obsessed with me about this. I wanted to see, he has a watch. He has a smart watch where he can call and send messages to me and my wife.
Yeah, you can limit the amount, like the numbers that they can call with it.
Yeah. And he has, I think, the number of my sister, for example, so he can call her.
Yeah.
And I think I have to put in like his grandparents as well. I always forget to do that. But he's going to use that watch when he goes outside or to hockey events or something like that. He takes it with him. I'm trying to stretch that as long as I can.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, especially with WhatsApp and all the other stuff that I already heard, how poisonous it is and how toxic it could be. And we talked about mobbing and bullying. I try to, I'm hoping that I can put him as long as I can. But I think when he's out of elementary school and going to the high school, there is no way I can. He has to get a phone at some point. But
friends of mine have done the same. They said, okay, as soon as you go to high school, or like middle school, I don't know how I should call it, but that's the moment where you get a phone, because that's where we need you to be reachable, because you're further away from home. Yeah. Where you're more and more not only at school when you're away from home, but also hanging with friends or whatsoever. So I think that's a very good rule. But I think the watch that you mentioned, like my wife's niece has one as well. I think that's such a beautiful invention. Yeah, because it enables you to be able to reach your kid and vice versa, without them having the option to put games on there or whatsoever.
Yeah, but on the other hand, it's such a helicopter move to have that. Because back in the days, and now we're talking, the old guys talking about the war, but we didn't have this kind of stuff. So is it really necessary to track your kid and make...
But is it to track your kid or to be able to reach your kid?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, there's so many weird things happening in the world now that I would want to be able to reach Ziggy, to ask him like, hey, dude, you were supposed to come home in 15 minutes ago. Where are you? Is everything fine? Are you okay? Yeah. Not to be clingy and be big brother on him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And I think it can give a kid a sense of safety as well. Yeah. You know, like whenever something happens to me, I can always call mommy or daddy.
Yeah, that's true. And that comes down to the episode before, safe haven, right?
Exactly.
And point of contact.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not to, again...
We're reaching more than an hour now.
More than an hour now. We have to come to an end. So, and I as we are continuing the conversation, you realize that there's so much more to talk about, and that we are able to continue the conversation in the upcoming future. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm so happy that we picked this up, because I feel like it gives us a different perspective on life, and at least gives me somebody to talk to in ping pong ideas and thoughts I had over the last couple of weeks about me being a dad, being a husband, being self-employed and whatnot. Yeah. And I really enjoy it. So
yeah, same here. And I think maybe we could get other dads as guests on the show as well.
Yeah. I think that's a cool idea, to have an outside perspective. And there are so many different kind of life models that it's super interesting to hear.
And interesting to hear, like, everyone has their own way of raising their kids or dealing with stuff, with family stuff. And obviously within a country there's differences, but between different countries there's also differences. I mean, we spoke about selling our kidneys for a daycare cost. Yeah. I'm very curious, like, how these kind of things work in other countries.
Yeah. So we are going to expand our reach.
Yes.
And make sure that you are going to stay entertained with us.
Yeah, and I think I need to get such a microphone.
You actually have to sell your kidney for it.
No, I'm just hashtag no sponsorship. Shure, a really great brand of microphones.
Yeah, it is. Alrighty then, Mars. Let's come to an end.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening in. It was fun. Thank you for accompanying us on the first part of the journey.
And stay tuned for the rest of the journey.
I think it's going to be fun.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.